Welcome to Talk 204, the podcast where we engage with our community, celebrate our successes, and build meaningful connections. My name is Rick Moulin, and I'm Superintendent of Bonner Springs Edwardsville Unified School District number 204. I'm excited to bring you this new platform for sharing the stories that matter most to our school district. I graduated from Bonner Springs High School in 1990. This is my 29th year working in the district. I started off as a high school English teacher, was a guidance counselor, high school assistant principal, middle school principal, high school principal, assistant superintendent, and now superintendent. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce our first guest, Klayton Coffman. Klayton is also a graduate of Bonner Springs High School, a few years later than me, though, in 2019. Klayton is in his first year teaching at Clark Middle School. We'll be talking with him about what inspired him to become a teacher and how his experience as a student in our district has played a role in his journey. Before we jump into that conversation, I want to highlight something truly special about Bonner Springs Edwardsville School District. 89 of our current employees are former students. That means 1 in 5 of our staff members have come back to serve the community that raised them. To me, that speaks volumes about the dedication of our teachers and our support staff. Our staff really do make a difference, and Klayton's story is a perfect example of that. Let's dive into our conversation with Klayton. We'll be talking about our shared love of baseball, Klayton's unique experience working alongside his former teachers, and a pleasant surprise he discovered on Chicken Patty Wednesday. It's going to be a fun and insightful conversation. Let's get started. Welcome to Talk 204. My name is Rick Moulin, your host. Our first guest, Klayton Coffman, Bonner Springs High School class of 2019 and first-year teacher at Clark Middle School teaching 6th grade math. Klayton, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mr. Moulin. Glad to be here.
Hey, Klayton, I got to ask you, how does it feel to come back to teach in your former school?
It's pretty cool. It's been a really, really neat experience for me, getting to be back, getting to be home. There's a familiarity with it, even with all of the new things, in a new role, seeing things kind of from the other side as a student, now as a teacher. But it's home, and so that's been really nice to be home.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you back, and I remember calling you last spring when I found out you were teaching and asking you, hey, have you ever thought about coming home? So what made you decide to come back to Bonner Springs and teach at Clark Middle School?
When you reached out, that was, I'd kind of been thinking about coming back this way, coming back to the Kansas City area, growing up here. I love Kansas City. My family is all in the area. I had cousins moving back to the area around this same year too. And so, but being here and not being in Bonner Springs would have, not made sense to me. This really is home. This community, this school district really helped to shape me, helped to mold me, grow me into the man that I am today, and so to be able to give back to my community in that same way that it gave to me, I think is really special and something that I was really looking forward to being able to do.
Well, that's great. So as before mentioned, your class of 2019, at what point did you decide I'm going to become a teacher? And then talk a little bit about when you made that decision, what was the road to come back home? Because there were some stops in between.
Yeah, so I was probably spring my senior year when I decided I wanted to be a teacher. Maybe fall around Christmas time, but it was definitely my senior year for a long time. From when I was a little kid, up until then, I wanted to go into TV. I wanted to call baseball games. That's what I wanted to do. But I, through working with some kids at church and whatnot, I really found this love for kids and working with young people. And that's when I thought, I need to do this. This is what I'm supposed to do. And so I thought about it, and I thought the best way to do that is as a teacher. And so then as I was getting ready for college, I knew there were a couple of things that I wanted to do in college. I wanted to get a teaching degree. I wanted to go to a Christian school, and I wanted to be able to play baseball. And so I got the opportunity to do that at an NAIA school in Northeast Oklahoma, Oklahoma Wesleyan University. So I went there to pursue a degree in education to get to play baseball. And so I was able to do that throughout my college career. And then as I was winding down, I got an opportunity last year to teach second grade in the school where I did my student teaching there in Northeast Oklahoma, which was a really, really neat opportunity for me. I was excited to get to do it, get to stay around where I went to school, and so I was able to do that, but always with the goal long term of winding up back in this area, back in Bonner Springs, and so I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that now.
Yeah, I think I had a similar experience. You talked about working with kids at church and deciding, I want to become a teacher because I can help kids. I remember when I was in high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And some of my best memories were, number one, my teachers. Mm-hmm. I had great teachers who had a tremendous impact, and I wanted to be just like my teachers. But I also remember I had a kid in class who, at the time, I didn't realize it, but had an IEP and needed some additional support. And the teacher would have me go in the hallway and work with the kid and help him learn because he struggled with reading. Yeah. And I found that really meaningful for me. The kid that I was working with benefited, and then as I was deciding what to do, I thought, I want to be a teacher because I want to make an impact. Did you have a watershed moment like that as you were growing up, or what were the influencing factors when you were a student at Edwardsville Elementary, at Clark Middle School, and then at Bonner Springs High School that made you decide, I need to teach?
I don't know if there was ever really one moment for me, but I look back and I look at teachers that I had through the years, and specifically I look back at the men that I had in schools, and I think of people like Aaron Miller, guys like Jacob Beck, Brandon Job, Spencer Davidson, and just these guys that all throughout my life, all throughout my schooling, were there every day, were guys that I could show up and we could have a conversation about the Royals. I could talk to about the Chiefs game, whatever the deal was, that were just there for me as men in my life, but then they were also there as teachers, as educators, helping me in that journey. But just as a whole person and seeing me as that and helping to lead me and shape me in that way. It's those kinds of relationships, I think, that really help push me to be the teacher that I want to be and the educator that I want to be.
Yeah, and I remember back when you were a student, and I don't remember if it was your junior year or your sophomore year that we started doing the segment Moulin's Minute, mm-hmm. and you and I had a weekly segment on TP Talk, and that was a lot of fun. So it's only fitting that the first episode of Talk 204 is with Klayton Coffman, who was my Moulin Minute sidekick. What do you remember about those experiences?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Just coming up, and it was lots of the time we'd show up and we'd be like, well, what do we want to do this week? We knew there were always a few things that we wanted to do. Each of the years that we did that, there were a couple of big things we wanted to hit around whatever time it was that we were filming it. There were certain things that we wanted to talk about, but then we'd get kind of into lulls and just trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do? And then we'd come up with an idea and just like, well, now we need to make this exciting for people to want to watch it. And just kind of those brainstorming sessions. And then a lot of the time we went in with half a plan and hit record and just saw what happened. And I think it worked out most of the time. But that was a good time, and it was a fun way to kind of get to do some kind of announcements or, hey, we need to talk about this kind of things for the school, but we were able to do it in a fun and unique way.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this or not, but because as a student, I only knew from it as being the principal at Bonner Springs High School, but part of the goal of the whole Moulin's Minute was to try to teach students some life lessons. So if you recall, we did a segment on the proper way to shake another person's hand.
Yeah.
How to get a prom date, those types of things, but really about being respectful and just having fun with real life situations and things that hopefully helped teenagers deal with situations they were facing in life.
Yeah. And another thing that I thought was really cool about that was that we had a principal that I noticed this as a student, was that you as the principal, that we had a principal who was willing to go out of his way to, do a silly little thing like that to invest in us. And I think that that's just an excellent picture of what leadership is and, how to lead well and to serve those that you're leading, and that you would take the time out of your day. Because I know there's probably 1,000 other things you could have been doing, in those 20 or 30 minutes or whatever it took us to film and get that ready to go. And but you would just take time to step out of what you were doing to interact with students, even in that small way.
Well, I tell you what, it was probably the highlight of my week. Every week was filming with you, and so that was part of the reason I was so excited to get you back, because I know that you're making a difference right now in the classroom, and you genuinely care about our kids. You talked a little bit earlier about your experience as a student and some of the impact that your teachers had on you. How does your experiences as a student in USD 204 help you connect with your students in your sixth grade class?
I think just like having been in their shoes, and it's like I start to get kind of some of the struggles or some of the things that they're feeling because I've been there. I've been here. I know, if it's whatever, tomahawk trot, that's something that I was able to tell kids, this is something I got to do. I was in the first time we ever called it the tomahawk trot, I got to run in it, and just kind of these little things, these little experiences that I've got to share along the way and help me understand where they're at and the situation that they're in. I think just has helped to give me a better picture of who they are and hopefully to invest better in them.
Yeah, so you're back at Clark Middle School, and as previously mentioned, you graduated from Bonner Springs High School in 2019. You went to Clark Middle School. You went to Edwardsville Elementary since kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've spent your entire educational life in the Bonner Springs Edwardsville School District. Now you're back teaching. Are you teaching with some of your colleagues also some of your former teachers when you were a student? And if so, how's that going?
Yeah, it's been really neat. Guys like Kyle Razak in the math department was my 7th grade math teacher. I had Ann Decker was my 8th grade algebra teacher. So those are just a couple that are in my department that I work with every day, and so it's neat now too because I've already learned so much from them. They helped to shape me in my math, and now I get to sit in, meetings with them every week and kind of listen to how they go about teaching and learn now about teaching from them, which has been really neat. And I think it's something that's been cool to me because I've seen how they are as a teacher. I've seen how the effects that they have as teachers on students from the students' perspective. I know that they are good at what they do, and now getting to sit on the other side of it with them and learn from them and talk with them it's been really cool.
Yeah, I've always said that the biggest compliment we get as a school district is when former students want to come back and work for us. And currently, I think we have something like 88 former students who are now employees of the district. And when I talk to our teachers and our staff, that's a testament to the work that they've done, because they've built a culture where people want to come back and they want to be just like their teachers. They want to make a difference. Speaking of that, let's talk about lunch.
Yeah.
And you're in the lunchroom every day now, and I don't know how you feel, but I remember when I graduated from high school, one of the things I missed most about being a student was the school lunches.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember back in my day, it was Crispitos and the hot ham and cheese roll-ups, and now for the past 29 years, I've enjoyed a chicken patty just about every Wednesday.
Absolutely. Chicken Patty Wednesday is my favorite day of the week. Mr. Moulin, I get to sit down, I get to have me a chicken patty, some mashed potatoes, I was really excited. I remember in high school when they introduced the spicy chicken patty to us, and I was hoping when I came back in the middle school they were going to have spicy chicken patty because we didn't have it when I was in middle school. Now, I have a spicy chicken patty every Wednesday, and it's the highlight of my week.
Hey, can I give you one tip?
Yes.
When you get that spicy chicken patty, it always gets served with a roll.
Yep.
Go ahead and open the roll up and use it as a bun and put that chicken patty right there in between the roll, and now you've got yourself a real treat.
There we go. Put some mashed potatoes on there, too. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this has happened to you, but my first year teaching, of course, I was fresh out of college, just like you are now. And I remember going through the lunch line, and there were times where the cafeteria workers thought that I was still a student. And so when they went to charge me, they gave me the student price instead of the adult price. And I tried to reason with them and say, hey, I'm a teacher, because I was proud to be a teacher.
Right.
But they kind of looked at me like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Do you get that?
Only once or twice. You were in the high school, and so I'm at the middle school, so I do have a little bit of an advantage there. But I had to go hunt down my lunch code the first day of school. You know, I didn't know how to find it in Skyward, so I went in and asked Miss Angie for my lunch code, and she looked it up for me, and I remember it's the same lunch code I had when I was a student, so it was easy to learn.
Wow. So they gave you the exact same
lunch code. And then I got on there, I still had leftover money that my mom had loaded up from when I was in school. So I got a couple of lunches for free.
I tell you what, Klayton, if you were as smart as I know you are, you should call your mom and tell her you're running low on your lunch account and see if she'll keep adding to it.
I should. That'd be pretty good. She might do that for me.
All right, my guest is Klayton Coffman, class of 2019. Klayton is obviously a graduate of Bonner Springs High School, and now he's teaching math at Clark Middle School in his first year. Klayton, you're also coaching.
I am.
Let's talk a little bit about that and how that's going.
Yeah, so I got to coach football in the fall, and I'll coach baseball in the spring. Obviously, football season with the record and whatnot didn't quite go as well as we were hoping, but it was a great experience. I learned a lot this season. I had never played football in my life. You know, I've watched a lot of football. I remember being in weights class and listening to Coach Edie as he talked to the football team. You know, so I could pick up things here or there, but there was lots of learning done this season about just the game of football, about coaching in general, about leadership. Lots of good things to learn. But I enjoyed that experience. I'm excited for next football season, and I'm really eager for baseball here in the spring. You know, I'm a baseball guy, and so that's one thing. I remember telling Coach Lecker when I was in high school my senior year, me and a couple of my buddies, we said, Coach, you've only got 4 more years because we're coming back and we'll do this after that. And so I'm glad to be back doing that too.
Yeah, coaching is such a rewarding position, a rewarding job. You get to work with kids, you get to make an impact on kids, but it's also stressful from time to time because, you know, like you said earlier, the win-loss record didn't go the way you'd hoped this year, and nobody puts more pressure on a coach than a coach puts on himself or herself. And so you made it through the fall. Now you got a little bit of break for winter, and you're gearing up for baseball season. What's your plans for the winter?
Rest, relax, get home at a decent time. You know, probably going to play lots of college football in my spare time, you know. But, I'm excited for a little bit of a break. You know, that coaching takes a toll. It's a little bit of a grind. It's a good time. I'm glad to be doing it. But, yeah, a little break is definitely going to be nice. Focus in on the classroom a little bit more this winter. It'll be good.
Yeah, so as far as baseball is concerned, I remember you were a catcher in high school, and really a great catcher, and one of the few left-handed catchers that I've ever seen compete at the varsity level. And then you went off to college. Talk a little bit about that and what your college experience was like.
Yeah, college baseball was a lot of fun. I wound up pitching in college only. You know, I just pitched in college, but college baseball taught me a lot about baseball, a lot about, how to, take care of myself, how to be a man, how to show up to things when I need to be there, how to, take care of work and prioritize those things, get done the things that I needed to get done. We talk about it with our athletes. I've heard it talked about with me from, the time I was in the 7th grade all the way through college about being a student athlete, and we put that student first, right? The first thing that we have to make sure we're getting done is the student part, getting our schoolwork done, taking care of our graduation requirements. Once we got to college, it's getting the degree. That's what you're there to do. And being an athlete's the privilege that you have on top of that, and an opportunity that you get that, for me was able to get me through college, was an opportunity for me to get to continue to play a game that I love so much. But, it teaches you to be able to manage your time, teaches you to, just be a man, to do a job, to be able to go out and get your job done for the good of a team on a baseball field, and that carries over just so much into life.
Yeah, I think KU did a survey one time or several years ago, and I read about this, but all incoming freshmen, they interviewed them and said, what did you learn most from when you were a student? Was it from academic classes, or was it from extracurricular activities? And 100% of the kids essentially said extracurricular activities. And it's not just about the sport, it's about leadership, it's about learning how to work with others, teamwork, overcoming adversity, all those types of things that are important for you to be successful in life. And I know you hope to bring that same attitude to the kids you're coaching.
Absolutely. I think baseball specifically, I think baseball's the greatest game in the world. It's fun, it's better than other sports, but there's so much of life to be learned from the game of baseball. I was just talking about it with kids in class today. We do a little attendance question at the start of class or whatever, and so today it was, if you had to get rid of one sport, basketball, football, or baseball, which would you get rid of? And so the kids kind of get a pick, which one would you get rid of? And, lots of kids are going to say baseball. They think baseball's boring to watch or whatever. But I told a couple of kids, no, baseball's the greatest game in the world. It's a game it's a team game, but unlike some other team games, it's one guy against another guy. It's a pitcher against a hitter, kind of one-on-one. You gotta do your job so that the next guy in the team is able to do his job. And the same thing can be said about so much of life. If you're part of a team in an organization, in a school or a business or whatever, every person has a role to play. As the math teacher, if I don't teach kids math in 6th grade, they get to 7th grade and they're not able, to learn 7th grade math because their 6th grade math teacher didn't do their job. Yep. And so there's so much of that to be learned from baseball. It's a game of failure. Yep. Guys that fail in the major leagues, guys that fail 7 out of 10 times are the greatest players of all time.
That's right.
It teaches you to fail. That's how life is. Life's going to knock us down, but it's how we respond to that, and that's something that I think baseball's done such a great job of teaching me how to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you know this or not, but I used to be a baseball coach at Bonner Springs High School, and I remember one time I was at a sports convention, and I was an autograph collector when I was younger, and I had the opportunity to meet Hank Stram, and Hank Stram is the former Chiefs coach, and I sat next to him. My friend put on the show, and basically what happens is he would sell tickets. It was at a mall, and you could buy a ticket to get Hank Stram's autograph.
Yeah.
Hank Stram was there, Lynn Dawson, and I believe Bobby Bell. And so my friend said, hey, you can work with whichever person you choose. And so I chose Hank Stram. So I sat next to Hank Stram, and I said, hey, I'm a high school baseball coach. How did you motivate your players? And Hank Stram gave me a speech to where I felt like I was in the locker room. And he said something along the lines of, I used to come in the locker room and tell them, gentlemen, when you were a little kid, your parents were real proud of you. They bragged to all their friends, my boy's a football player. When you got to middle school and college, everybody loved you because you were a football player. But there is not one football player in this room. You're all young men lucky enough to have the opportunity to play this game. And we're going to do it the right way. And so he went on, and I just remember, going to baseball practice that next week and saying, hey, guys, when you're a kid, you played t-ball, and I tried to reenact the speech.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm no Hank Strand. There's a reason he's a Hall of Famer. But there is so many life lessons to learn from sports and activities, and so I'm glad you're coaching. Real quick, so what are you most proud of so far? You've made it through your first quarter. You're halfway through second quarter, getting ready to roll into mid-November. What are you most proud of so far?
I think it's been those relationships that I've been able to build in the classroom, on the football field. Last Friday night after our last game, I had, guys were saying thank you, whatever, and I know a couple guys that were wrestling, and they're saying, Coach, see if you can get in the wrestling room a little bit with us, and just that was really special. Just having guys that are, like, we want to be around you more. Like, they were grateful for the time that I was able to put into them, and so that was really, really special for me.
Yeah. So Klayton, what do you think about the new baseball and softball fields?
They're so nice. Last year during my spring break, I was back home visiting from Oklahoma, and that was when the open house was happening, the grand opening of the new sports complex down here, and so I got an opportunity to come up and see it for the first time then, right as it was getting finished, and I just remember thinking, like, it's so nice, it's so pretty. Like, I would have loved an opportunity to get to play on these fields. It looks really nice. I'm really excited about it.
How do you think the new fields impact the kids who love baseball, who plan on going out for baseball, thinking about going out for baseball, along with our community?
Yeah, I think it's really great. It shows just the commitment and the level of care that the district is willing to put in to our student athletes, that the district's willing to put into a baseball and a softball program, and it looks really, really nice. I think it's going to be much easier to get some excitement kind of built up around those programs now, just with the facilities that we have. That I haven't been everywhere in the Frontier League since I was in school, but I would be willing to say we got to have just about the best facilities in the Frontier League, the nicest field in the Frontier League. And so to kind of be able to get that excitement, I think, can grow from within the student body out to the community, hopefully get some people out to watch some baseball games this spring.
Yeah, it's funny because everywhere I go, when I talk to former students, the number one question is, why didn't you do that when we were in school? And so our students who are here now, very lucky to have such a nice baseball, softball field, along with new tennis courts, state-of-the-art facilities for what I would consider the best kids in the state of Kansas.
Absolutely.
All right, Klayton, before we wrap up, I've got 4 final questions for you. First thing that comes to your mind.
All right, let's do it.
All right, number 1, what's your favorite school lunch, your go-to?
Chicken Patty Wednesday.
All right, number 2, what one piece of advice would you give to someone preparing to start their first year in teaching?
Forgive yourself. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be days when you're overwhelmed. Don't beat yourself up too much.
That's good. What's something your students have taught you this year?
Oh, that is a really good question. That it's okay to struggle. This new math curriculum that we've got has been really, really good. It's been tough for all of us. We've been working through it, but lots of it puts lots of, good struggle on students, as they wrestle with these math concepts. And so seeing them do it has been encouraging. That's a good thing, and that's a thing that I think we can all work on. I know certainly for me, I can work on struggling well.
All right, last question. We're going to look forward. What's one thing you're excited about or hope to improve in your teaching practice?
Classroom management, biggest thing for me, I think, just reining in those behaviors. I like to have fun. We have a good time in math class, but to not let it get out of control is something that I can work on, I think.
Yeah, I think every first-year teacher would probably say the exact same thing. And I just want to reiterate, we're so lucky and so thankful that you decided to come back and make Bonner Springs, Edwardsville, the district that you chose to teach. And best of luck as you navigate through the rest of your first year.
Thank you.
Hey, Klayton, as always, it's a great day.
To be brave.